I begin for me. 30 years ago, the internet didn't exist. The internet sits in my mother and my father's garage in 4 file cabinets, starting with A and ending with Z. There were no cell phones. That's crazy. What a phenomenal paradigm shift that is in and of itself. And I think now, 3 billion people are going to be coming online in the next 5 to 7 years. 3 billion voices joining the rest of the world. Energy sources. How are all these people going to stay connected? Diablo Canyon, San Onofre, these are second-generation nuclear power plants that are in the process of being decommissioned. We're already in generation 4 with nuclear. That's a whole other entire incredible conversation about what's happening in that new generation that doesn't have uranium. The gas, our future, oil, huge part of getting us to where we are today, massive part. But the decline of oil, the emergence of these new technologies, amazing companies like Exxon are also generating amazing algae that actually consume and eat CO2. So those amazing companies are also part of this huge future that we have. Out in East Solar in Lancaster, not too far from here, 24,000 mirrors follow the sun, directing energy, creating new ways. The entire North Africa with solar, it's staggering that that can provide 40 times more than the energetic needs of the entire world every day. This future is here. That future is now. Incredible buildings in the future, they're going to have photovoltaic cells built into the actual windows, so they're going to be generating all of their own electricity. And the solar panels of the future aren't going to be the huge panels that we see. Huge solar panels of the future are going to be the size of a credit card that's going to sit on your roof. So much more incredible, so much more powerful. So much technology is coming our way. So many different ideas to be excited about. Driverless technology is another huge push. Uber had 5,000 cars in Pittsburgh that they're testing. Driverless technology, driverless cabs. What's this going to do to our future? What's this going to do to the future for truckers? Again, 5 to 7 years, they feel there's going to be 6 million unemployed truckers. Cab drivers, Uber drivers, as all of these driving technologies become driverless. Massive changes. So think of the jobs that are going to be consumed as technology expands. And you ask about this question, what's this Formula One racer doing in this car? Formula One is also part of that incredible future. From Formula One is springing this new concept called E1, which is all these Formula One cars are going to be all electric. So you've got Mercedes-Benz, Ferrari, all these other major car manufacturers exploring and putting in hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into the technology of the future, which is the electric cars. All that technology is going to keep coming down to us. We see what Elon Musk is doing with that super beast of a truck that he's created. Cummins, one of the biggest diesel manufacturers, is also creating trucks which run on electricity. Photovoltaic batteries, cells, and of course, our new ways of what we're going to be consuming. How we as consumers in our own homes and how offices can be zero-sum in terms of what we actually put out and what we waste and what we collect and what we harvest. That's the goal, is to have empty landfills and how we produce that. Are we at the 11th hour, the 59th minute, the 59th second? No, we're not. Sometimes it feels like we're close. All the travels, the journeys that I do, hanging out of helicopters, risking life, risking limb in a lot of crazy places that I've been. You know, to push it to that edge to create the images, that's my manifestation of my entire life. That's where my self-identity comes from. But I too, as I forgive and forget the crazy internet system I had in my parents' garage, I too, in old ways, also fall, as Lenin here did as a statue in Romania. And hopefully war. How can we bring an end to conflict? How can we have a world where this exists? How can we let 1 million people die in a 3.5-month period in Rwanda in the genocide? All these things as we become more and more connected in this world to each other. And it does, it feels like I have my entire life burdened on top of my shoulders, simply because of what I've borne witness to. But that's what I'm here to share. That's the journey, that's my journey here. Industrial farming, all these things are going to be changing in some extraordinary ways. Cows that produce tremendous amounts of methane. These alternatives to meat are going to be coming forward for us that we're going to be able to consume. They're going to have all the vitamins and none of the hormones, none of the growth stimulants involved with some of the other animals that we may or may not consume in this room. The face of everything is extraordinary in its change. Deforestation. All the fires that we've seen that have happened in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've got people that have lost their entire homes. Pets, families, everything that they belong to. Australia, Oregon, as we become drier and drier in this climate. The floods that we've seen from hurricanes, Harvey, all of these things become consequence of the environment. But we're at this new paradigm shift. We're at this point of evolving, moving into the future. Moving into this point where we all come together. And it's no longer one voice. Because our world is sick. This isn't the perfect blue marble that I used to see from space. This is something entirely different. And when I saw that parallel, it really moved me. I've studied so many different aspects of the environment and our world. Fish is another extraordinary study. Many scientists believe that by 2035, at current rates of consumption, there'll be no edible fish left in the ocean. Significant, huge paradigm shifts. And this is where the majority of our oil comes from. Canada became the #1 importer of oil into the United States. This is the tar sands. This is a huge billion-gallon tailing pond, photographed in a helicopter, backlit with perfect blue sky reflecting off a black pool of oil. This is what fills our gas tanks. This is what Alberta looks like. This is what Fort McMurray and these places look like. Because they pull all the sand, all the shale, all the mud, and they separate the oil from the earth. It's an incredibly messy process, but it requires decimating the landscape. Antarctica. The North and South Poles, I've been to both. The heart and lungs, along with the trees and the Amazon. Over the last 50 years, we've seen a 6-degree temperature increase in Antarctica. How does that reflect? How does it affect us here? How does it affect people in the Sahel, where 4 inches of rain is now 3 inches of rain, which can so easily lead to drought, which can lead to famine? Because these people are that much more vulnerable because of what's happening in Antarctica, what's happening to our climate, what's happening to our world. And these amazing pilgrims in Peru climb 16,000 feet up into the Andes to worship a glacier. They liken the glacier to be the body of Christ. A young shepherd boy saw an apparition of Christ on this stone in the 1920s. It's been a religious site ever since, so they go there once a year for baptismal rites to collect the ice, and now over 90% of that glacier is gone. in their prophecy and their beliefs, when the glacier melts, the world will end. All these different pieces connect. Easter Island with the overconsumption, thousands of people, thousands of lives lost, the decimation of that entire ecology. As you can see, there's very, very few trees. When you go to a place like this, to see so few trees, it's like being in Antarctica. The melting glaciers of Iceland. All this temperature, all these increases, what's doing, it's amazing, because they're now catching tuna off the coast of Iceland, which they've never done before. As the water warms, the fish move north. All of these crazy, interesting things are interwoven and connected. And they all reflect back upon one another. This is a super fun site in Pitcher, Oklahoma, where the entire town was evacuated because of exposure to lead. Thousands of homes are now demolished. This town doesn't exist anymore. It's just a hazardous waste dump. 500,000 lesser flamingos used to breed here in Kenya, Lake Magadi. But it's now been filled in to become a soda ash manufacturing site. Texas, Lavaca Bay. A leak here into the ocean decimated the finfish and shrimping industry. People whose lives have been there for 3 and 4 generations or more, wiped out by mercury. Salton Sea right here in our backyard just about. Most polluted body of water in the entire country. Algae blooms, fish, they can't breathe. In the beautiful mountains of West Virginia, you drive down the highway, it's absolutely pristine and perfect. You see nothing. You think it's absolutely beautiful. You get up in the helicopter and you understand the mass, the volume of devastation that you do not see from the beautiful highways. It's an important project that I got to spend some time with Robert Kennedy Jr., photographing him for Vanity Fair for this project. One of the most incredible things that he discussed with me is that, consequentially, where we've gone. In speaking with him, he believes that we traded the war in Iraq for complete energetic independence from the entire world. Wind from 3 states alone can provide the electrical needs for this entire country. We just need to rebuild our electrical grid. The electrical grid, the telephone poles, as archaic as that is. Because we need to be able to send 100 megawatts in South Dakota to get it to New York, and it's 100 megawatts in New York. That's also going to hire millions of people to build that entire infrastructure. So these are positive things. These are positive jobs where people who might have been working in coal mines are now breathing fresh air. There's not a concern for mine collapse. And they're building the future, not a virtual future. Because this isn't the future that I want to live in either, where it's a simulacrum. The walls peeling off of what reality used to be, and I'm living in a virtual world. This is more the world I would love to be in. Hope is uniting each and every one of us as in apartheid South Africa, a situation we thought would never change. It exists. That hope exists when we embrace one another. And that hope sits with me. And that hope sits in front of me with each and every one of you in this room, is hope. Hope comes in incredible ways as well. Crowdfunding. 2009, $530 million came into their crowdfunding pool. 2015, that number was $15 billion. By 2020, that number is expected to be $100 billion in the crowdfunding space for brilliant ideas, for new ventures, for new science, for new technology. And a crazy Irishman, mad as a hatter, Bono, creating the One campaign, the Red campaign, saving what is conservatively 20 million lives that would have been lost to AIDS in Africa, working with the Bush administration and the Obama administration. Ideas, inspiration. It's powerful. Passion that we have and we bring to our lives. Beth Wakeis is this wonderful woman that I worked with. She works with the inmates in San Quentin prison. Teaching them gardening, horticulture, vegetation, so that those inmates may have a job waiting for them outside. Majora Carter, idea, concept of getting these fields, getting all this urban, creating these beautiful vegetarian gardens inside urbans, putting them on top of roofs, evolving, changing what we see as a farm. And Judy Bonds, again, in the mountaintop removal in Appalachia. Her heart and soul, she grew up in those hollers, is what they call them. She's fighting for her life. She's fighting her ancestry. She's fighting for her history that she doesn't want to see lost. That's vital. Our food, the slow food nation. This isn't where I want my garlic harvested that I'm going to eat, right next to the Salton Sea, next to a factory. I need to know where my food comes from. Each one of us in this room needs to know where our food comes from. Alice Waters from Chez Panisse is one of the incredible people you find at the forefront of evolving that slow food nation. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. Sometimes I think as well we can't see the future for the trees. That future is extraordinary. That future is in your hands. That future is in each and every one of your hands. The extraordinary women that I just showed you all started that in their own communities, in their own backyards, birthed their own revolutions. That's what's happening. That's what's here. That's what's in this room. Each and every one of you, in your hands is your future. It's your voice. I encourage you to be bold, to be brave, to be beautiful, to rise and to shine, and to make this world your own and create the beauty that all of us so desperately need. I thank you.